Everyone. In this demo, I will be introducing you to the Pragma Edge solution for cross-enterprise file processing governance, that is, the Pragma Edge File GPS. I will start with giving a brief overview of what the solution provides. Pragma Edge File GPS, the name says it all, tracking a file end-to-end. Through File GPS, you will be able to track the file lineage throughout the enterprise from the time it's been sent till the time the file got processed and sent back. You will also be able to trace the transactions through all the systems and applications in your enterprise. File GPS provides centralized monitoring which reduces the risk and ensures compliance. And the major part of File GPS is that you will be able to manage and track business KPI and customer SLAs, which are very essential in any organization. Now, let us move on to the product. The UI for File GPS. So we will start with initially doing a configuration in File GPS where you can configure a business unit. Typically in any organization you will have multiple business units and every business unit will have its own data. But you would not want every single person in the organization to have access or visibility to all data and files throughout all the business units. So in order to restrict that information to or the visibility to what data that user can see, you can actually set up a business unit and then set up users in File GPS. So you can just create a business unit and assign a group to it, so that way you'll be able to restrict the view of the data to only that particular users in the group. Similarly, once you create a business unit, you can also define a route. Route is nothing but the path that your file takes in any organization for the complete processing from start to end, from the time it's been come into an application till the time it's been sent back. So you can define routes. And also you can create partners. So creating of a trading partner is not mandatory because you do not want to have you do not want to create thousands of partners when it is not feasible. Even if you do not create a partner, you will still be able to track and track the files from end to end coming from that particular partner, but they will just be defaulted to the default SLAs. But when you create a user or a partner in File GPS, you will be able to create SLAs for specific to that partner and be able to track it. So now let's move on to how we can create an SLA. So here you can simply provide an SLA name and assign it to a specific client that you have just onboarded or just created in File GPS. And there are two types of SLAs that we can track in File GPS. One is a duration SLA and one is a percentage SLA. Duration SLA is nothing but the time that your file has been taken for the processing from start to end. And a percentage SLA is the success criteria of the file processing in a particular period. So for a duration SLA, you can define ranges. Say according to your SLA, your file needs to get processed in 10 minutes. So that means if your file gets processed, then it will fall into the green zone. If the file gets processed more than beyond 10 minutes, you can define for the yellow zone, and beyond an hour you can define a red zone. So based on these ranges that you set here, you'll be able to create or generate alerts to get notified. Similarly, it's the same for percentage SLA as well. You can define your percentage ratios for your green, yellow and red zones and define alerts based on that. So once you have your SLAs generated, you can create alerts. Here, alerts, there are three types of alerts. One is an SLA alert. As the name says it depends on an SLA. So once you have your SLA created, you can just simply use that create an alert based on that particular SLA name depending on what the condition is. Like when you define zones, that red zone, yellow zone. So if you want to get notified for your SLAs whenever it goes into a yellow zone or a red zone, you can simply define an alert for that SLA, and you can define if you would like to have a dashboard alert or an email alert, and also the frequency for your alert. Next is a file not received alert. The name says it. Whenever you're expecting a file and you do not receive it, but you would like to be notified whenever the file has not been received in any application through in the file processing route, you can create a file not received alert. For example, this is very helpful whenever you have not every day every customer of yours might be sending in files. There are some customers who send maybe one file a week, so you might have missed the processing, or you might have missed tracking that particular file. In order to for you to be notified whenever you receive a file, you can just simply use a file not received alert. And a subscription alert is when you receive an alert whenever a file comes into a system, or a file was reprocessed, or there was an error in a file. So you can configure alerts in those scenarios. For example, you have 4 applications that your file gets needs to get complete its processing. You can set up an alert for at your third application. Wherever there's a error, or you're expecting an error, you can just simply get create an alert there so that you get notified. So these are all the alerts that you can set, and if you would like to view all the alerts that are in your system, you can just simply select the client name and search for all the alerts. So this particular partner has these 2 alerts. So once all your SLAs have been done and you have configured your alerts, you can now go and track all your files coming into the system. So these are all the files that have been come. So I have received a file from this client, and what was the source file name, what was the destination file name, and what is the current location. Location is the place where when you define a route, this will specify currently while it is being processed at what system the file is currently at. And the status stop means the file has been completed the processing, and when it says start, that means the file has just arrived into the first application. And by process, it means the file is in between somewhere among the application or among the route, and it is still under processing. You will also be able to see if it's an inbound or an outbound file. Here you can actually track 3 types of transactions, that is one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-one. When you say one-to-one, that means it's a single file that is being processed across all the applications. And when you say many-to-one, that means you have received a bundle file, and somewhere in middle of the processing in the file route, the file is being split into multiple single files, and they are getting processed. So you will be able to track those individual files as well, even when you receive a bundle file. And similarly, one-to-many is you receive a single file, and somewhere in between the file route, the files are getting bundled, and a bundle file is being finally sent out as the end of the application. So every single process you will be able to, every single type of transaction you will be able to view. So for example, let us take this particular transaction, and when you click on view details, here you will be able to see this with the start time when the file was arrived in the first application, what was the source file name, what was the destination file name, who was it sent from, and what was the application that it was sent to. And you can see that it was a start process, and the next application, the destination will become the source file name, and then the next is the client. That means it is in process. Finally, the file has completed the processing and has been sent to the client, and you will see the process as stop. This way you will be able to know every single hop that your file has been taken from the time it's been arrived into the system till the time it's been sent out of the enterprise. Irrespective of how many multiple hops that your file takes, you will have a single interface to be able to track that file from start to end. When we say File GPS also provides delegated administration, that is where you can control using the access management, where you can create a user, assign a user to any specific group, and you can assign a role based on a user and restrict what data that a user can see. So this is all about File GPS, where you have a single interface to track your files start to end in your enterprise, irrespective of how many hops that your file takes. Thank you.